What's up, everybody? Welcome to the third episode of the Passage P3D podcast. And the 3Ds are discover, develop, and demonstrate. And today we have very special guests, Les and Donna Pippin with us. And we're going to talk a little bit about missional communities, DNA groups, and all of that kind of goes with the demonstrate. Well, we could say demonstrate, but really there's a lot. It really hits on all three, right? Discover, develop, and demonstrate. So welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Yep. So why don't you guys go ahead and just tell us a little bit about yourselves, who you are, how you're connected to the Passage Church, and then we'll go from there.
Okay.
All right. I am Les Pippin. I serve as one of the elders at the Passage Church, and this is my wife, Donna.
Hi.
And last weekend was graduation Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
You guys have a graduate.
Baby
Correct.
Graduated, so we are about to have an empty nest in August.
Are you excited?
Yes, and
some ways,
sad. A
yes.
little bit of both. Yeah, we know it's going to be a little tough, but fun too. We have lots of big plans.
Yeah, I asked Les. I was like, "Man, what's that?" I'm so far away from that. I don't even know what that's going.
You'll turn around and it'll be here. That's the sad reality of it. Yeah.
That's what I hear.
Yeah, it goes by fast.
So, how long have y'all been at the Passage Church?
Since before it started.
Right.
Ah.
We helped launch the church back in 2009, and they've let us hang around ever since.
Yeah.
Nice. So I called Scott an OG. He's an OG Passage Church. So you guys are part of the OG crowd that came.
That's us.
But so today we're going to talk about missional communities. So what is a missional community?
A missional community is, I would describe, a group of people that share life together. They live in community, but they also stay on mission together.
Yeah. So we used to have, it kind of transitioned. We used to have small groups. They became life groups. Is there a difference between small groups and missional communities?
I think, obviously one of the big differences is you focus on a mission. Like as a group, we started out, we have sort of the same group that's grown from when we first started. We've, grown people, but in the midst of us all being together, we got to decide what is our mission going to be? What do we want to do? How do we want to serve our community, our neighbors, and, find that niche that we had that we wanted to plug into that we didn't have before as a small group.
Yeah. And what did you guys come up with for your mission?
We do Backpack Buddies.
What is that?
So Backpack Buddies is a program that it's all over the country. It helps feed kids at any school, I guess, at schools over the weekends. There's such a need for that. There's so many kids who depend on the school meals that they get. And then when they go home on Friday afternoon, they might not eat again until Monday morning. Which we found out during COVID was a huge problem. Huge problem, yeah. So we pack bags that go home. We go to the school. We find out, like, from the teachers, from the social worker, the needs there, and send these bags every Friday afternoon. They go home with the kids in their backpacks, and they have 3 meals a day for those days that they're not in school. That's awesome. So, and y'all do one specific school, right? Correct. Your group takes over one specific school. Is Wendell Elementary? It's Wendell Elementary. Yeah. Okay, awesome. And that's a fantastic mission. Yeah, we love it. It's fun. We over the years have been able to not only do the food piece of it, but we every year get all the kids' names. We're able to pray over those kids, the families. We've had opportunity to serve some of the families who had more needs. We had a family once who had a mom who was really sick, a single mom. We were able to cut her grass. We provided backyard toys for the boys that she had, and just some other different things to keep that ministry, help those families. Yeah. So that's the mission aspect of it. Mm-hmm. So what does a typical missional community look like, as far as, like, if I wanted to come to your group, what can I expect? We like to eat. Yes. I'm in. You know what? I'm leaving my missional community.
I think one of the great things about missional communities is they can all look a lot different.
Yeah.
So our missional community, we like to stay together as a group, and we will, at the beginning of the missional community, just kind of hang out, spend some time together, enjoy some refreshment snacks, that type of thing. And then we'll usually dive into a study. But we don't do that every week. So we will maybe like the first week of the month, maybe have like a fellowship time. The next time we come together, it would be more of a study time. And then the third week would be a time for us to look at our mission. But I know there are missional communities who some kind of break it up. And the men will get together during a time. The ladies will get together during a time.
Yep.
And so there's a lot of different ways to do missional communities. That's a great part about them.
Yeah, that's our group. We meet together as a group one week. And the next week the girls meet, and they don't meet necessarily for study, but they'll meet for like dinner and kind of talk about what's going on in each other's lives and encourage each other that way. And the next week we meet as a group again, and we're back in the study. And then the week after that we'll do guys, and the same thing. We'll go out and eat dinner. And look, last time I went out with the guys, we go to Buffalo Wild Wings, and I'm sitting there, and they're like, it's like 8 o'clock, 8:30. And they're like, all right, you guys are ready to go to the church? And I was like, what are you talking about? And they're like, well, we got to go put the foster closet together, like the walls. And I was like, what? It's 8:30 at night. And so, well, it was the shelves, sorry. And there were no lights out there. So we had flashlights and car headlights, and we put all the shelves up for everyday grace in that foster closet. But that was fun. They got me, which I don't mind. It was fun. But no, that's kind of how the breakdown of our group goes. So what do you study in your group?
We've done all sorts of things, and we usually just take a group vote. And Les will sometimes research a few things. We've done some of the video studies that are on the Right Now media that we have. We've taken just a book of the Bible, and we were in Revelation for how long? a long time. We would just, go through the whole book. We've done several books of the Bible that way. We've done some book studies. During COVID, that was one of the things we did. We got a couple of books for everyone in the group, and just had everyone sort of reading along, when we couldn't get together, and we do Zoom meets and discuss it or whatever. So lots of different things, we sort of shake it up.
Nice. So how many people are in your group?
We have right now 7 families that are in our group.
Wow.
And
so some of them have to have kids.
Correct. Our group is a mostly older group, but we do have a couple of families with younger children, and they'll come and hang out in another room, maybe play a video game or read some books sometimes, or watch a video.
You mean read some books or play video games sometimes?
Yeah,
right.
That's the other way around.
Exactly. Yeah.
Thank you for correcting me.
Hey, I'm not ashamed of the video games.
Yeah.
Hey, so our group also has small children, and sometimes it really works out well when groups have older kids that can watch the younger kids, and a lot of our groups are that way. Like the Whites group, I think the Stacy's group probably. We keep splitting off, so I don't know who's in what group anymore. But yeah, so missional communities, and how do you think people? What would you say to somebody who says, I don't have time to be in a missional community group?
I would say make the time. Just try it out, because once you go to one and you find, the family that you connect with, meaning we're all a family. Our missional community is, we're there for each other.
Yeah.
And once you find that comfort level, and you don't want to miss it, because you enjoy that time, and you look forward to talking with those people, and knowing that, pray together with those people, and be able to, tell them what's going on, and, what you need prayers about, or, things like that. It's invaluable.
Yeah.
That's right. It's a great time to stay connected, find some accountability. And when you're working on the mission together, the entire family comes together, and that's something for everybody. And as Donna said, it's just you're kind of missing out if you're not part of one.
Yeah. What other roadblocks do you think people might have to joining a missional community? So time, I feel like, is the one that
huge.
people...
Yeah. I think, too, it's probably hard if you know there's a group that, you know, may have been meeting for a year together or whatever. It's a little scary to walk in as a new couple or a new family and say...
Or even by yourself.
Or by yourself, exactly.
Yeah.
That's a tough first step. But,
yeah.
But I think that if anyone would try it, they would see that any group that they would go to would be so welcoming because you just, you know, you're part of the family then. You just join right in. Yeah.
So the time thing, you know, like you said, you got to prioritize what's important to you.
Yep.
You know, and then kids, I think, is another roadblock that people say, and we already discussed, like, you know, most of the groups, they don't care if you have kids. Mm-hmm. Let the kids come and run around. Like, it's more of a family. It's, you know, we do Bible study and we talk about things, but like in our group, the Westers, they have a baby, a toddler. I mean, she's
love a baby in our group.
Yeah. So, but you know what? She hangs out with us.
Right.
And it's totally fine. It's not a distraction. Like praise God. We love babies here at the church. That's the same thing like on Sunday morning, right? Like when you feel so bad for the mom that brings a kid in there and then the kid might make a noise and like, oh my gosh, they're going to make it. It's not cares. Like that. Nobody cares. We know. We've been there. Yeah. We know.
Exactly.
So that's missional communities. You guys have anything else to say about missional communities? Anything you want to add?
Yeah, I would say if you're not in one, find one because they really are just such a huge piece of our walk, you know, to have that connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think so. And once again, thinking of kids, I know in ours, when we're packing bags for backpack buddies, or sometimes we put in some gifts in the backpack buddies, and the kids in our group absolutely love that.
Yeah.
And so that it's, like I said, something
for
the whole family. Absolutely.
It is. Yes, kids love to serve. I mean, it's fun to have the whole family serving together, doing stuff. So getting into a missional community, if you're interested in getting into a missional community, we have the link on our website for missional communities, and I'll put it in the description of this podcast. How about them apples? And then so you can just click on that and go there and see the different groups we have. And really, if you have a lot of questions about them, you kind of want to know more info, just email matt@thepassagechurch.com, and he might be able to get you into a good fit, a group that he thinks you might do well in. So those are missional communities. So we've got new groups here at the Passage Church. They are called DNA groups. Do you guys know about DNA groups?
We do.
Awesome. So DNA stands for Discover, Nurture, and Act. And if you guys want to speak a little bit on DNA groups and what you know of them,
Sure. There'll be 3 or 4 people, and it'll be a group of men meeting or a group of ladies meeting, and it'll be that time where you have it's more than 2 people. So accountability will be a big part of it. When it's just maybe you and one more person, I think the accountability steps up a lot when there's when there's 3 or 4 people together. But it'll be a time to share with one another, to study with one another, to challenge one another, and to stay on mission to one another. It's we want the words of the Bible that we're reading and studying. We want them to come to life. Yeah. And a DNA group is a great catapult for that for everybody.
Yeah. So just from my own experience, so right now I have 2 DNA groups. So what I like about DNA groups is that they're super flexible because it's a small group of people. So like one of my groups, so I have a weird schedule. I'm a firefighter. I work strange days, and no week is exactly the same. So missional community is sometimes hard for me to say, well, man, I'm working the next 3 Wednesdays. I won't be there. And then the Wednesday after that, I'm out of town. And I'm not in community for a whole month.
Right.
Whereas if I'm in a DNA group with 2 other people, I can be like, hey, I can't do this day. Can y'all do this day? And they say yes. And so one of my groups, we normally meet about 9 a.m. in the morning, which is an odd time, I know, but he also works odd schedules. So it works for us. And then another group, we meet at 6:30 in the mornings. And there's no set day. Like we try to come up with a day that the next meeting, to try to be action oriented about that. But so it works for me really well. especially since, we have 3 kids at home. We're already in missional community. We have band practice on Tuesday nights. I'm just like, I don't have time to add another group to my schedule. So, but that's my situation. And a lot of people are their DNA groups are in their missional communities. So I know Matt's DNA groups are in his missional communities. I think the Hunts, I think they're going to do their DNA groups from within their missional community. So discipleship. Les, speak a little bit to discipleship here at our church. What do you think that our church is focused on discipleship?
Absolutely. That's the vision of our church, is to make disciples. And so we want discipleship to be a big part of that. So being able to encourage other people to share their faith with those that are, I kind of like to think about it as a spider web. We're all connected to different people in different ways. And so the web of people that I have around me are different than what the web of people you have around yourself. And so if I'm encouraging you to live out our faith and then challenging myself to do that, we're kind of hitting different webs and we're hitting different people. And so I think that's
I like that. I like the web analogy. That's really good. Man. Yeah.
Every once in a while, I create something.
So with that attitude of discipleship, that is where the DNA groups come from, because it's another on-ramp, another avenue, if you will. We say on-ramp. There's a lot of like churchy terms like that, on-ramp, things like that we use. But basically, it's a way to get connected, right? And so some people can't make the groups happen, missional community groups. Also, the DNA groups, I feel like, is a little bit more targeted. Like, we're teaching, when we go through, there's a binder. Actually, if you didn't know, there is a binder. We have binders for DNA groups. If you want to be in a DNA group, all you have to do is ask Matt. He'll give you one of the binders. They're nice. They're really well laid out. And it's kind of like a curriculum. And so you sit down and it has everything laid out from what you do from your first meeting to your last, every meeting. Yep. And the point is to be able to go through those appendices. What do you say? What's the thing?
Good.
Sounds good to me. Yeah, you go through there, you study the Bible together, and you learn how to explain the story of God to other people. That's one of the things. You learn how to tell your story with Jesus as the hero. And I think those are things that when you're in a big group of people, you just can say like, oh, yep. I'm good on that. I know how to do that,
That's what I was going to say about them. It's more intimate. Like in the big group, you might be able to just not say anything and sit back. And when you're with 2 other people and you have to tell your story, it's real.
It's real.
Have to do it, and but it's great practice, because then it's not hard to do the next time and the next time and the next time.
Yeah, and it's funny you brought that up about it's more intimate, and you. In a DNA group, they're groups of the same gender, right? So, and you brought up accountability too. So, like, I know that in a mixed group, I am not going to be as honest as I could be as if it was just that same gender.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's why a lot of groups split up during prayer time and, to have that kind of time with each other. But with the DNA group, you're with the same gender. Yeah. You can talk about that. You're more intimate, but there's also nowhere to hide. Yeah. So like, you can't just say, well, yep, that's my story. Yeah. You have to really flush it out. And that's the questions that are in the guide work.
Yeah,
really
that's
well.
The beauty of the book is, it lays it out. So you can just go through step 1, step 2, and you're going to do it. Because it's right there. You have to.
Right.
You know what? It's funny because when the question, like one of the questions or one of the exercises is to tell your story with Jesus as the hero, and I think a lot of people are like, well, I can do that, and you're like, all right, well, tell me your testimony, and a lot of people say their testimony is, well, I used to do bad things, and then I became a Christian. I don't do bad things anymore, and that's kind of the extent of it. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't dive into the realness of it, So when you have to really focus on all right, well, how is Jesus the hero of my story?
Right.
Like, how do I honor him and glorify him in the way that I tell my story to other people?
Mm-hmm.
And that makes Christianity look like more than just rules.
Right.
Like, hey, do this and you go to church, you won't be bad anymore.
Right.
You know, because we all know that is absolutely not the case.
Yep.
So
yeah, our story can be so personal that a lot of times when we're sharing our story, it's so easy to stay focused on ourselves.
Yeah.
But the great thing about the curriculum is as you were just sharing, it changes the focus off of ourselves onto Jesus as the hero.
yeah. And the other good thing about this manual is that's what it is. It's a manual to teach you how, like, you're in a group with your people, you go through the book, and then you say, all right, I feel equipped that I can start my own DNA group. And then that DNA group splits out and creates a bigger web. See what I did there?
Great.
Yep, because this person has a different web of people, this person has a different web of people, and then you continually grow.
Yeah.
So it multiplies. It's not addition, it's multiplication.
Yeah.
So that is the point of the DNA group. So as missional communities, you're in that group, and that's your family, who you're going to be with. You know, DNA groups, you could still meet with those same people, but the point is for you to be able to disciple other people, to have them come along with that journey and to grow it.
Yeah.
Exactly. So you know what? Every time we have somebody on the show,
Okay.
we have. Oh no, it's not that big a deal. We get music recommendations or book recommendations. So, what do you guys got? Music or book? What do you think?
I just read a book.
All right, what book did you
That's
read?
it was fun. It was a light read, but it was a good read by Annie Downs called That Sounds Fun.
Okay.
And it's talking about how
I started to say that sounds fun.
and there you go. And that's what it's about. And she talks about the beginning of the book. She talks about how Eden was created for Adam and Eve to enjoy. And then sin came in and we forgot that God created this world for us to enjoy. And it's just talking about finding things that bring joy to our lives. It's a really cool book.
Nice.
Light, easy read.
Yep.
That sounds fun.
Cool. What about you, Les? What you got?
So I believe last week Scott talked about the book that we were reading as elders.
Yep, can't do that
Oh
one.
my God, so I can't do that one. And so I've been wanting to read Don't Waste Your Life with John Piper, so that's up next.
Oh,
So,
nice. Yeah, that one's intense.
Right.
Have you read books by John Piper before?
I have, but it has been a while. So
Yes.
I'm looking forward to jumping into this.
Yeah, cool. That sounds awesome. So my book that I'm reading right now, I don't think I've mentioned on the podcast yet, but it's called Preaching by Tim Keller. And it's called Preaching, but it's not about preaching like Sunday morning preaching. It's basically about preaching the gospel and how you can, it has a lot of tips and stuff about different theories on how to preach from there, but it's really what do you call that thing? The summary. It's a summary, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
It says that it's for anybody that wants to tell the story of the gospel to other people effectively. And I was like, well, that sounds
Great.
like something I want to be on board with.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And Tim Keller.
yep, you cannot go wrong with Tim Keller. Yes, such a fan. But we'll put the links to those also in the description. Last time we did that, we didn't put links in there and somebody suggested it, and it was an excellent suggestion. So if you have any other suggestions, we would like to hear those too. Put them down in the comments. And so thank you guys so much for being with us today. You got anything else you want to add for them?
Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
It was fun.
It was fun.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for listening. This has been the P3D podcast, and stay tuned for more episodes. We love you, Pastor Family.